Well, hey, what's going on, guys? Dr. BA here with Dr. BA Fishing. Look, just got home from Bull Shoals fishing the Anvil Jaw Bass Club event out there. Never been to Bull Shoals before. Had a great time. Such a great lake, vast, huge, big lake. And you can really find anything that you want out there. But for me, had a really good day or a couple days out there. Considering it's the first time I've ever been there. Finished just outside the money. A few places outside the money. Had two key mistakes that I made throughout the day, and those two mistakes kept me out of the top 10. But hey, overall, I'm happy with a top 15 finish for only my second event after a 9-year layoff. So anyway, what I want to do is I want to do two things. I want to talk about what I did on tournament day and be able to catch all of my fish, which primarily, no surprise this time of the year, call a limit within the first hour or so on the topwater. And then I really didn't intend for this to happen. I expected to just grind it out the rest of the day and flip bushes all day. But I got onto a drop shot spot. I worked two areas about 200 yards apart from each other in this giant bay. And I probably caught about 20 fish doing that, and actually culled two largemouth with two spots. And so that was a bit surprising. So what I want to do is, unfortunately, I did not get any of the drop shot on video. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some video of me catching these fish on topwater. And then when we get back from that, I am going to show you the baits that I used. And I'm going to show you how to tie a drop shot and a couple different tricks that I did throughout the day to try to be able to catch more fish. I spent about 5 hours on two spots, and the fish just kept recycling. And so I want to take an opportunity to show you a drop shot, how I worked it, how I fished it, and things like that. Because look, I don't keep secrets. I want you to be a better angler, and so I want to show you how to do this. All right, so let's check out this introduction, and then we'll come right back after we watch the introduction and some top water, and then we'll jump into the baits. All right, so sit tight, and we'll be back. All right, here at the start of the event, my bad guys, I didn't get the camera started till halfway through the run. Looking at about a 35 to 40 mile run here to my first spot. I know it sounds crazy, it's bananas, but I just felt that those fish were less pressured, and I really liked the area that I was at. So I just sped this up real quick for you. This is about 15 to 20 miles here. Beautiful run, really nice. To kind of get to the same spot every day and see the sun peeking up at a specific area. Of course, we already missed that. So sorry guys, you didn't get to see it. But look how beautiful the Ozark Mountains are in the background. Just kind of moving along here. So originally I started all the way at the very back end of this creek, or this big giant bay, but during practice I had a little bit of cloud cover, and so that cloud cover extended the topwater bite, and they just didn't seem as active at the back of this bay. And so when I made it up to this point at the very, very, very top of all these bushes and this gravel and rock chunk bank here, I just seemed to be more active. So what you're seeing here is there was a little bit of a blow up, so I was kind of anticipating it, as you can see. But really the trick here, guys, with this topwater bite is beat the same area multiple times. I was taking different angles. If I didn't get a bite in one spot, I'd maybe throw it after I passed it at a different angle, and that seemed to be working quite a bit. these fish are packed up in like little wolf packs, and they're kind of running around together. And so one thing that I did notice, that if I threw it on a blow up and I didn't catch it after that blow up, they really weren't there again. They'd already kind of moved on. That spot right there scared me. There was a big blow up right behind the boat. It scared me. And then that guy hit the bait so hard he jumped out of the daggum water. Another little keeper here. So yeah, guys, these are just the four. These are 4 of the 5 keepers. Honestly, I really don't know what happened with the camera. I thought I had a recording, but missed the 5th keeper on the recording, and I missed the drop shotting the whole afternoon. Uh, uh, so that's my fault. So here I just switched to a little wake bait. There was a wake bait bite too, so this thing's running about an inch under the surface, and so I was kind of moving between this and the Topwater. Didn't get a lot of action on the wake bait, but I just wanted to show this here because this brim thought it was necessary to just smoke this little crankbait, this little wake bait. Caught another brim on a drop shot too. I don't know if I mentioned that, but about the same size. 22 foot of water, way off the bank in the middle of this huge bay. Um, this is me getting towards the back of this big bay that I was telling you about. And if you look back there, there are just bushes and stick ups and just lay downs everywhere. There's actually an old road that runs back there with a bridge. If you're from the Bull Shoals area, you probably recognize this area. Fish are just loaded in here. Really good place to be for a shadow waller bite. Not a very good flip there. The guy's a little bit heavier than I thought he was, but that was it. All right, guys, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that. That was, it was super exciting. I missed a couple, not missed. I had a couple big ones blow up, but they just didn't get the bait. And I think that, that those 1 or 2 of those fish really would have changed things for me throughout the day, but that's okay. So what you're seeing me throw out there that morning was this, spook. And I've actually got a saltwater series spook in its bone, but you can see there's a little bit of flash in there, and honestly, that's all I could get them to eat. I threw it during practice in the exact same spot. I also I started out with a whopper plopper. I threw a regular popper, and I threw a frog too, and I just couldn't get them to eat any of that. And that spook really is what they enjoyed. I was sitting in about 12 feet of water, throwing up from 2 and coming out to about 8, and that's really about as far out as I needed to come. I wasn't getting anything to strike anything beyond that range. These bass are roaming like wolves in packs, and so if you could see them, busting the surface, throw at them. It usually, what I found, that if they missed the bait and I threw it back in there, sometimes they would still be there, but again, they were like wolf packs just roaming around. And so once they missed it, they were moving on to the next bait fish and feeding. All these fish that I caught were thick as thick can be until weigh-in. And then I cleaned out a whole minute bucket worth of shad out of my live well. So that's what I primarily caught all of my keepers on in the morning. A couple of other ways that I caught fish throughout the day, and again, I didn't get it on video, was this really cool chatterbait right here. So you could see that right there. And I know that looks like kind of a lot of color, but what we got to understand is it's actually very transparent underwater. In that clear water, it's transparent. Now, the reason why I decided to throw that instead of like a green pumpkin or anything like that is simply because if you look at the shad swimming in the water of this clear lake at Bull Shoals, you can actually almost see through those shad. And so match the hatch, baby. And that's what I did. I threw that, matched the hatch, caught a couple fish. And what I would do with that is I would throw it into those thick bushes. And remember now, these bushes are the size of this boat, oftentimes. And so I'd throw that in those bushes, and I would just kind of work it over the different arms and branches and things like that, and I would trigger a strike. And I would switch between that and just a regular jig. So that was that. And the one thing I did not get caught on video was that drop shot. Guys, let me tell you what. I found a lay down in 22 foot of water on a large flat out in a bay. And I found it during practice, and I caught a couple really small spotted bass on it, but I really didn't get anything else. And I'd say about probably 200, 300 yards away from that was a large boulder that created its own little drop off. And it was actually closer to the bank. I was only about 3 or 4 boat lengths from the bank, but I was actually drop shotting in 38 foot of water. And those fish would sit on top of that boulder, and I would, kind of just put it right on the edge of the boulder. And that was kind of the key. It had to be right on the edge, and they would hit it. So what I would do is I would catch fish on one spot, and when they would stop biting, I would just go over to that next spot. I would catch fish. When they would stop biting, I'd go over to the same spot again, and they'd be reloaded. The problem was I had to catch a bunch of 14-inch spots to be able to get down. I could see that there were bigger fish down there, but you really had to cycle through them. So I actually caught about 20 fish drop shotting and culled 2 largemouth with 2 spots that were just thick, baby. They were big. So let me jump right into this, and let me show you kind of what I was doing. Or first off, let me show you how to tie this drop shot, because I know a lot of folks may not know how to throw a drop shot. I did this video about 12 years ago, and it was the most popular video I ever did. So I want to do this again. I want to show you how to tie a drop shot. So the first thing that you need to know is you need to know how to throw or tie a Palomar knot. If you don't know how to tie a Palomar knot, well, I'm going to show you. All right. So let me get on up in here and show you exactly how this works. Okay. So I'm going to go through the front. I'm going to pass it through the eye. I'm going to bring it back out. And then I'm going to come back through the eye the opposite direction. And what I'm doing is I'm creating a loop. Now you could just make a loop, pinch it, and push it through, but I find that easier. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide this all the way down. I'm going to pull that tag in way out. You want that tag in to be as long as you want your bait to be off the bottom of the water. Okay, so make your tag in rather long. And then once you have your loop, you grab your tag and your main line like that, and you're going to just tie a little half hitch, I think is what they call that. So you're going to take that loop, you're going to just tie a half hitch, tie a knot. Now when you tie that knot and you're pulling it, you need to pass the bait through that loop that you've already created. All right, so pass it through that loop, and then simply just pull your main line and your tag line. Okay, and that's your Palomar knot. All right, a little loop there. There we go. Okay, so that's the Palomar knot. So that's your main line there going up to your line, and that's your tag line. Now, one extremely critical step. If for some reason when you tie, now remember I pass my line through the front of the eye of the hook, so straight over top of this. That's the most important step that you can do in your Palomar knot, because what that does is, after you add your weight, if I can find the weight, there we go. So the way these weights are, you just pass it through that bottom loop, and you just simply pull it up. You don't tie it. And when you pull that up, it holds on. Now, the reason why you do that is because if you get hung up and you pop it loose, all you're losing is your weight. You're not losing your whole rig. Okay, so back to the most important step. So the reason why you pass it through the front of the eye is because this hook has got to be facing up. It's got to be facing like this or like this. And the reason why is because you're drop shotting. So when you're setting the hook, you're pulling straight up like that. You're pulling straight up. If for some reason you tie this and that hook is not sitting straight up, before you put your weight on, take your tag line and run it back through the eye, the front of the eye again, and that will twist that hook around so that it's sitting straight up again. All right, so that's the most important step. Now let's talk about baits. So get back up here. I found the best bait to throw was a robo worm. All right. Aaron Martins, the late great Aaron Martins, really made this bait very famous, and I've got both his Martin Madness, and then I have the red crawler. Now you may think that these are the exact same color, but they are not, and let me tell you what, the fish noticed the difference, and I'll explain why. So this is the red crawler. It's kind of hard to tell, but there's some purples in there, but it is actually pretty red. And then this is Martin's Madness. This is more purplish, more pinkish than it is red. So I had caught some fish on, I had started out using the red crawler. Well, first off, let me show you how I rigged this. So this is one of the most important things too. And let me show you why. So when you look at this, you've got one side that's got the color on it, and then you've got the other side, it's got this kind of copperish, brownish color. And so what I did is I experimented out there, and I wanted to see what they like the most. So how you hook this is you just bring it down the middle like so, and I take it all the way to the loop where it starts to bend, and then I bring it back up. And the reason you do that is because when it sits in the water, that worm floats and it sits perfectly sideways like that. That's what you're trying to get. Now, I experimented with rigging this upside down and the right side up. So what I wanted to present to the fish on the bottom, did they like the color more or did they like that copper more? Brown. And honestly, they like that more. And so when I rigged it up, I had it like that so that brown was sitting on the bottom and this was sitting on the top. I went with an 1/8 ounce weight because I wanted a slow fall, because some of these fish were a little bit higher in the water column, and I'll get back to that in a minute. And I wanted it to fall slowly past them so that they saw it and it got their attention. That was very important. And then what they would do is they would just you would feel them kind of nibble on it a little bit, and then you would feel the weight. They would take it, and then you set that hook straight up, and guys, it was almost every cast. I mean, it was just something different, something incredible. So, and I really wish I would have got it on video because it was an absolute clinic. I literally spent 5 hours on 2 spots and was catching them every other cast. Such a good time. So that's how I did that drop shot. So again, while you're out there, experiment with this stuff. So I would drop it down there, and what I could see on the Humminbird Mega Live was I could see some of these smaller spots kind of swimming around this laydown. And but I could tell that they were a little bit smaller, but I could see some bigger fish down there, and what I had to do was pick through those to get to the bigger fish, and it worked. I would catch about 3 small spots that I had to throw back, and then I would catch a keeper. Big ones too. I'm talking 15 and a half, 16-inch spot that were just fat as fat could be. And I actually caught a brim in 22 foot of water on that drop shot. It was the craziest thing ever. Caught 2 at the event. Caught 1 on a drop shot and 1 on that little wake bait. It was so fun. So one of the other things that I would do also is, what I noticed is when those fish would get a little bit higher in the water column, they wouldn't touch the bait down when it was on the ground. And so all you really needed to do, I gave it a couple cranks, brought it up a few feet, and probably within 30 seconds of doing that, boom, they would eat up on it, and I would be able to catch them. So that's what worked for me. I hope this was informal for you. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Listen, guys, I have no problem helping folks out. You know, this worked for me. It may not be the best way to do things, but it worked for me, and I caught some fish and got a top 15 finish. So if there's, you know, guys, if there's anything out there that I can do to help with, I mean, I don't mind sharing sharing things. So hit me up. Don't forget to like, subscribe. All of my socials, Dr. B.A. Fishing. Facebook is Bill Allison. You guys just come on and support this. If you don't mind, support what I do. And if I can support you and make you a better angler, then that's what I want to do. That's going to be the whole point of everything that I do on YouTube. So I hope this was informal to you. If you've got some ideas, if you've got some questions, just some things that you're not sure about, maybe it's even about your home lake, hit me up and let me look at that lake. Let me try to figure out a few things, throw it to you. You try it out, shoot some video, hit me back up, and let's do some videos together, on what I think you should do with that lake. And then you get out there and apply it and smash some fish and show us some videos, and let's share it to the world. All right. Thanks, guys. Don't forget, hit the button. You're already there. It's just right there. Just 2 seconds. Boom. Like, subscribe. Thank you for your support. Throw some things in the comments. Come on, guys. Let's work this out together, and let's be great anglers together. We'll see you guys later.